Most women are exhausted not because they're doing too much, but because they're living without a clear sense of direction. When you don't know what you're moving toward, every day feels like survival. But the moment you can see life that you're growing into, everything changes. Your energy changes, your marriage changes, your motherhood changes, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I've been thinking a lot about how easy it is to live life on autopilot. You're not unhappy, you're not miserable, you're just reacting, doing the next thing and the next thing and the next. And at some point, we look up and realize that we haven't actually chosen our life in a while. So many women feel tired and disconnected and uncertain. And it's not because they're failing, it's because they're over adapting. Raising my hand to that they've lost touch with their inner picture of who they're becoming. And honestly, how often are we really looking at forming, shaping, and choosing who we're becoming? We're following a script. We're just doing either what we're told or what we think is right, when we've never actually taken the opportunity to really evaluate and to make our own decisions. I remember it was about 6 years ago when we moved here to the Midwest, and I was escaping my former self. I was leaving behind my feminist, idealist, workaholic, breadwinning kind of persona of I was carrying it all and I was doing it all, and I was adopting this costume of I'm going to be the perfect housewife. I'm going to be the perfect stay-at-home mom. I'm going to make everything from scratch, and I'm going to thrift, and I'm going to do all these things. And I literally, because of my acting background, I was like, hey, I can do a role. Just, yeah. And it's easy when you're able to identify, like, oh, I'm going to shift into from this role into this role. And this is what this character looks like. And it was not consciously choosing that, but it's what my brain connected, what made sense to me. And I realized after a while of trying to be the perfect housewife that I was desperately unhappy, because that was only part of what I wanted to become, part of who I was. But there was other parts of me that just wasn't authentic to me. And I really had to really reevaluate. And that is what birthed the way that I now create my annual vision boards. And it starts now. It starts in October or November as I begin to really get clear on who do I want to be next year. And that's a question I never thought before. Who do I want to be? What do I want to be? What do I want to do? I was all about the product. But I had the epiphany. It's so silly because I'm sure many of you have already know this, already grasped this for yourselves. But who do I want to be? Wow, that's rich. Because really, when we look at our lives, when we get to the end of it, it doesn't even have to take the end of it. You could just have these epiphany moments where you go, wait a minute, where am I going in life? Who am I? Is this what life is all about? Having those moments and realizing I wasn't really choosing. But guess what? You get to now. You can't move forward in a life that you haven't seen. So oftentimes we women, we get stuck because we're trying to fix our lives without really seeing what we're building. So vision isn't about goals. And that's what I was talking about. We are focused on our being and not our doing. It's about a felt sense, an atmosphere, a tone, a daily experience. How do you want, this is, my husband always asks this, and I love this because I never thought about it before. How do I want to be spending my time? How do I want to spend my day? Have you thought about that? Wow. Our life always grows toward the picture that we're holding inside. And that is why having a vision board, or that's the vision board class that I'm offering. This is what the point is creating a space so that we can really look at look at where we are, look at who we are, and say, is is this serving me? Is this what I want? Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Okay. So, well, the biggest transformation that I had, the biggest aha reflective moment for me was the story I shared the very first episode of how I went from being a boss babe to a powerhouse, meaning my power is with me at home in how I am nurturing this family culture. I was deep in crisis. I felt called to something a lot bigger, like I was supposed to be doing something more with my life than being a photographer and a commercial actress, that there was more. At that time I was working full time, self-employed. We had 4 kids. I was pregnant. No, I wasn't pregnant with my 5th. I was pregnant with my 4th. Yeah, with Truly. And I was I just felt this immense call to something bigger. And it wasn't until I was on this trip and I was driving down the side of a mountain that I'd grown up on in Alaska, observing the view that I had gazed at for years, for all of my growing up. And I had spent the week with 4 different women, 3, 4, these different women who had been so formative to me, and seeing their journey over the past multiple decades, from my best friend growing up and seeing her in her motherhood. She had been a school teacher and decided to stay at home with her children and raise them. And I was I was trying to count how many kids she had at that time. She had 4 kids, just like me. And oh, yeah, no, I'd given birth to Truly by that time, yeah, because I had her with me on the trip. But the point is and then I was with my best friend's mom and had seen her through her arc, and just seeing the richness of her family story, her role in these multiple generations. And then another dear friend of mine, who Gina Murrow, who I've interviewed on the podcast before, and seeing her in this new chapter of her life where she is grandmother and she's an artist and she's growing and experiencing new things. And all of a sudden I realized that I was missing out on my children's childhoods because I was valuing the applause of strangers more than the love of my family. It was more, granted, like I was trying to earn an income, but the point is not all the details. The point was my heart. My heart finally woke up to what I was truly yearning for, this greater purpose that I thought I was meant for something bigger than just being a photographer. I was meant for being a mother. That was what was bigger. That was what I needed, desperately needed. And I felt selfish in choosing it. Selfish in such a good way, saying, I'm willing to sacrifice everything. We can rewrite our lives. We can move. We can do whatever it is that we need to so that I can stay at home with my children and experience motherhood, not just give the crumbs to my family, but experience the great big Thanksgiving meal every day. Like, I want it all. I want it all with them. I want everything that motherhood offers. I don't want to miss it. That was my huge turning point. And from there, that is where I discovered, it sounds so funny saying it, the vital importance of turning to my marriage. That it wasn't like things can feel broken, but when you turn love back towards it, I'm going to say 99% of the time, it works. It's fixed. It's beautiful. I know that we have experienced as a couple so much more passion and depth and enjoyment and love than we had really experienced previous to that. So, yeah, when you really get a good view on your life, and sometimes it takes those epiphanies. Sometimes it takes going up to Alaska, hanging out with your friends, driving down a mountain and to get perspective. And sometimes it just takes a slight awakening, a slight, huh, this isn't, wait a minute. We need to stop the car. Stop the car. This is not where I want to go. I have those moments all the time. I'm in the kitchen and I start griping at my kids and I go, stop the car. I'd like to stop the car sooner a lot of times, but sometimes I'm just don't have the capacity. And say, I need to turn the car a different direction. This is not, no, I don't want to make these choices anymore. This is not who I want to be. So if you've been feeling a little blurry inside, if you've been living in response mode, like so many of us, if you know you're made for more connection and more joy and more aliveness, this is your moment to step back and look again, not to force anything, but just to see. I'm offering a free vision board masterclass this coming Sunday, November 16th from 3 to 4:30 Central Time. This isn't about crafting the perfect aesthetic collage. We're actually not clipping anything. It's about remembering your clarity. It's about letting your inner picture come back into focus. So we're going to take down the noise. We're going to drop into our bodies and let the real vision surface, because it takes that intention. And you might feel that little spark in your chest right now. That's your yes. So I hope you join us. There's a link in the show notes. So just click on that and you can register for free. I will send you the Zoom link so that you can be a part of this. I'm not sure if I'm going to offer it as a repeat. I might do a summary podcast to talk more about it. I know I will be having a live experience with people in my area. A venue has offered up their space, and it's fun to be in person, and we will review some of this, and this will be magazine clipping, which is also really fun. But this workshop that I'm offering on Sunday, it's going to be tailored more to what you can do digitally. I will be reviewing how you can create your own collage. Again, it's not about the perfect collage, but the visuals are really, really important, because at a glimpse, just like a picture's worth 1,000 words, it tells us everything about what we want. It's an emotional and mental cue. And when we see that repeatedly every day, that brings us back to our focus. And that helps us to actually create the results that we want. We need to remember. So I want to help you create your focal point of how to remember. But before we create anything, we're getting clear. So, like I said, the link is in the show notes. You can join. That'd be lovely. I love you. You're not behind. You're not lost. Your clarity is just gone, or it's quiet, and it's ready to be heard again.